Hello and welcome guys, Armageddon Videos here today with a new tutorial that I've just announced yesterday on Facebook. As you can see right there, it's about this Adobe After Effects animated drawing, scribble or doodle effect. I don't know how you want to call it, but I'm just going to show you real quick. As you can see right here, it's often used in this music videos, especially rap. It's a very great artistic effect. It's basically a frame-by-frame animation. You're going to doodle onto one frame, skip to the next one, sketch on this, go to the next, and so on. You're going to make some really cool, nifty animations. And it's often used in, for example, Schoolboy Q's video. As you can see right there, there was a lot of work involved in this because they also animated it, and it's looking kind of like fluid. And yeah, the response was great, 27 likes in just some hours, and you guys are interested in it. And yeah, basically I have to tell you, if you have like 30 frames per second, like 30 FPS, you have to draw onto every single of this frame or of these frames, because then you're going to get an animation. So today I'm going to work with 23.98 FPS because I don't want to animate too much, but I'm going to show you in After Effects. So yeah. Let's start After Effects. Close this one. Now let's drag in our video. Oops, what's not working there? Release it onto this little icon right there, so it makes a perfect comp for your video. And as you can see, we have 23.98 frames per second, so we don't have to animate too much today. Of course, it really depends on what your video is actually, because imagine you have a 60 FPS video, you have to sketch on all this 60 frames. And now just double click on your footage to get this isolated look, and make sure you tick this little render icon right there. And you can also toggle your alpha modes right here, and we don't need this today though. So now make sure that you have this brush panel selected. Go to Window, Brushes if you don't have. Yeah, that was smart. Click on it again. So we have this one. And as you can see, you can't select anything in this brush panel. That means we need to get our brush tool. And with this brush tool, which is also just working like a vector tool actually, because you can later on edit it. It's not pixel based, or it is actually, but you have a lot of options later on to customize it. Yeah, I'm just going to show you later on, but first let us trim our clip. I think I started at right around 1 minute and 51 seconds. So drag the one slider right around there, and the last one, oops. Where did we stop yesterday? I guess it was, that's too far. It was, yeah, here it was. Okay, so drag this slider over. Just like this. Then right click, trim comp to work area, so it stretches it out over the whole time right there. And yeah, now we can use our brush tool. And as you can see on the top left, we have our all of our tools. And I'm just going to show you real quick how to scrub through our video frame by frame. There's this little indicator right there showing us our time. And you can use Command and the arrow keys, the left and right arrow key, to go step by step, or frame by frame actually. If you press the left one, you're going to get one frame backwards, and if you press the right one, you're going to go one frame forwards. There's also another shortcut, which is Function, FN, and up and down arrow key for Mac users. And for Windows, if you're having a extended keyboard, it's just basically page up and page down. It's two separate buttons, which you can find above your arrow keys. So now let's zoom in our timeline right here. go to the very start, and yeah, this brushes panel can't be activated. So what we need to do is actually select our footage and go to our brush tool at the top right there. You can click on it or just press Command and B. And if you press it several times, you can see that we can scroll through our icons right there, the clone stamps tool and the eraser. I'm just going to say something to it later on. And now I've just chosen this round 9 pixel brush. And then you're going to use like your graphics tablet or your mouse, and you're going to actually sketch on the footage itself, just like using Photoshop or any other graphical software out there. So you can see I'm using my Command and left or right key shortcut to scroll through our video. Kind of drag out where I want to start, grab our brush, 9 pixels, soft round, then change the color. I want it to be red. And before we start, we need to change our duration to single frame, because I want to have our frame, just our brush actually that we're going to paint or painting. I just want it to live for 1 second, for one frame, because if you go to the next frame, I want another brush right there. So there's a little animation going on actually. You can also make it to constant if you want something to be constantly on a shape, but that's not what we want today. So now of just drawing something in this little areas right here and pressing Command and the right arrow key to switch through our frames. As you can see right here, and the next frame, start in the beginning again. Draw it out, Command and right arrow. Draw it out, Command right arrow. Draw it out, and Command and right arrow. And also pay some attention to the little details. And I'm just doing this over and over again, so we kind of animate the floor a bit. And also, if you're using a graphics tablet, you can change the size to pen pressure. So if you're pressing on your graphics tablet slightly, the line is going to be very thin. And if you're pressing like really hard on the graphics tablet, it's going to be more thick. Alright, so well, I don't want to animate too much right in here because of the time of the tutorial, but yeah, it's basically just animating the whole floor and going through every single frame, thinking about a cool drawing that could kind of show the message of the video any better, because I think you shouldn't put effects into a video when they don't lead to the actual storytelling or stuff like that. For example, Schoolboy Q uses it to show some drawings, which he raps actually about, and yeah. Well, for our next frame that I've showed you yesterday on Facebook, I've just drawn out a little blood splatter right here. And this is a little bit more advanced. Instead of just drawing lines, we're going to make some little blood splatters actually. Yeah, kind of imagine in your mind that this is a blood splatter. I don't want to make it too realistic now, so it looks like this. And this should be on the ground. And if you're doing something like this and you have one frame selected or a single frame in the duration, you can see it's going to disappear in the next frame. If you don't want to do this, you can just get rid of the brush that you made, just delete it, and go on the right side on duration and change it to constant and then draw it again. This means it will actually stay on the frame itself. And now I'm going to show you the cool options of this brush animation right here. I'm just going to select brush 88. You can see it's this one. And if you now expand it, wait, I'm going to show you there. And click here. you have a lot of options. You can actually animate the stroke itself, like from the start and the end. As you can see, pretty great for another new set of animations again. Then you can change the color anytime you want. You can select multiple brushes and change the color of all of them. So you're going to save a lot of time. That's why I'm not doing this animation in Adobe Flash, because it's way faster using it in Illustrator. You can change the diameter, weird word for Germans, but this is basically the thickness of the path itself, and you can change a lot more, the transparency, the hardness, and yeah. Let's get back to our thing I've told you some seconds ago. If you want this to make it constant, you're just going to delete it or draw over it again. Just like this. Yeah, I've already showed you all the possibilities right here, so just make sure to get your brush tool ready, Command B again, and draw over it while changing the duration to constant, so it constantly remains on there, drawing it kind of really fast. And now you can see down there, there's this little brush with its timeline, and we don't want it to be in the next frame, so we're just going to grab the end of it, bring it right at the beginning so it stays for like 5 or 6 frames, and then change it back to single frame and draw some kind of blood splatters around it. Of course, make sure that you select your footage again and not the brush here itself, because then you're going to draw one brush on another and it's going to delete the other ones. So yeah. Well, that should be it for our blood splatter. It's just basically drawing some blood splatters, then making it constant on the ground and drawing some kind of inking effects or droplets around it, which are single frame again, because they should animate and not stay constant. Well, next up was the animation of his hand, and it's basically just the same thing again. Command B to get our brush, or click on here, change the color to white because everything's pretty dark in background, and grab our soft brush, and then we're just going to kind of imagine how the force on his hand looks like. And I've just drawn out those silly lines right here, not very professional right now, but it works as an animation. It looks pretty fluid and cool. So just imagine how his hands are going to move next and draw some lines according to it. There we go, and if you now go through it, you could see the effect. And next up was also the eyes which I made. Basically just the same stuff again. I've went with a brush around his eyes and skipped to the next frame. And this all over and over again, every single frame. And now imagine this is just 23.98 FPS. Now imagine working on 60 FPS stuff, but mostly you won't use this FPS because it's way too high for a music video, or it just looks unnatural because you're used to those 24 FPS cinema films. And this is why where you can save some work. So trim down your footage to 23 FPS, or 24 is better. If you now go through it, you can see the animation, but not that much because we didn't change every single frame, or we haven't drawn on every single frame. So you can see the ground was animated, and our droplet, the motion of the hand looks pretty good, and the eyes real quick. And yeah, basically you can just spend a lot more time for it. And for the animation of his arm again, I've just did the same stuff with his, just like with his hands or with his eyes. I just scrubbed through and saw where his arm started to show up. And yeah, I just made a little mistake right here, as you can see. When it somehow doesn't draw and you're checking every single option right there, just look at the top left and see that I didn't have used the brush, but the stone clamp, how's it called again? The clone stamp tool. Now I have it. And I've had to switch to the brush tool. So this is why it didn't work. Alright, and I've just drawn out some kind of things again to show his motions. Go one frame forward and all over again. Pretty tedious work. You have to start over and over again. You could also make them constant and copy them, rearrange them, and do this over and over again, but I think just making it single frame and drawing it from frame to frame is basically better, I guess. Yeah, that's it. So if we now make a quick RAM preview, you can see little droplet we made here, his hands, eyes, some random action right here, and now his arm. So yeah, the ground also. And well, basically this effect is all about your imagination and making the perfect animations. And I think you shouldn't animate anything if it doesn't lead to the storytelling of the video, because then it's just some fancy stuff going on and it's not much value in it. But well, I'm going to show you another little cool animation. You're just going to trace a character basically, go frame by frame, draw a bit around him, just like this, and part for the legs around here. And if you now animate it, you can see it goes around him like a little snake. Did you see it? Pretty nifty, cool looking effect. And you could also do this by just drawing a whole shape around him without switching the frame, just like this, as you can see right here. And make sure, well, I've just made it single frame right here. That's a little mistake. You just should make it constant, and then you can, let me just push this up real quick, and then you can expand the settings and animate the start of it. As you can see right here, it just goes around it, pretty cool. And of course you need to spend a lot more time to make it look perfect. If we just animate it real quick, click on the stopwatch, oops, go a bit further and bring it down to 0. And since it's just a single frame, you won't see much. Boop. As you can see right there. Of course you need to drag it out then, or it was because I didn't make the keyframes perfectly. So yeah, but that's another really cool set of animations that you can do with those animations right here, with those settings. And yeah, for example, Schoolboy Q, his artist made a pretty great work for kind of animating those liquids, as you can see here. And some of those effects aren't just those doodles, because sometimes it's also motion tracked. You can use the inbuilt motion tracker from After Effects to kind of track a t-shirt and then put your doodle on it by just dragging it on it. And a pretty cool feature also is using the eraser tool. Press Command B 2 times. So you get it, or 3 times actually, and make sure that you change the erase mode to layer only, because otherwise you are going to erase the footage itself. So you could animate like a little font popping up and then using the eraser tool to kind of erase it again. But well, yeah, I like this painting mode here a bit more. And yeah, that's it again. Another cool tutorial for some music videos. And I hope you enjoyed it. I really like to hear some new suggestions of what you guys like and what you want to see next. And comment, like, and subscribe until the next video. And subscribe, sorry, until the next video. Armageddon videos.